Hi, everybody. This is Mark, and today we're going to talk about the 10th key to becoming a renewed man and developing sexual self-mastery. And that key is purpose, taking steps to build joy and meaning into your life. Another way of saying that is that sexual self-mastery is not just about subtraction, like getting rid of bad things. It's not just about subtraction, it's about addition. So first, let's talk about fun that's actually fun. And then we're going to get back to the big picture of purpose. Find healthy, non-addictive, non-destructive hobbies and activities that you can fill your life with, you can fill your time with, instead of doing things that get you in trouble. If, as part of this program, what you're doing, what you're learning is to put aside or to refrain from certain habits that you've been engaging in, well, if you stop doing those things that have brought you hits of dopamine, there's a sense of deprivation, right? Because you're not doing that thing which did something for you. But instead of doing that thing, what else can you do that can be renewing, that can bring joy? That is a positive thing. The Greek Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote a book called On the Shortness of Life. And in this book, it's like a reflection about lots of big picture stuff. And he makes the point that, even though our lives are short, it doesn't work for us to just try to rush through everything and just work all the time. We have to have breaks. We have to find ways to relax and to recharge. So listen to what he says. He says, the mind should not be continuously at the same pitch of concentration, but given amusing diversions. Our minds must relax. They will rise better and keener after a rest. Just as you must not force fertile farmland, as interrupted productivity will soon exhaust it, so constant effort will sap our mental vigor, while a short period of rest and relaxation will restore our powers. Unremitting effort leads to all kinds of mental dullness and lethargy. Now, I think this is something that we intuitively understand, that we need to have balance and rhythm in our lives, right? We need those breaks. We need things that are diversions and that some kind of amusements or restoration time. But here's where we get into trouble as men. And I'm making a big generalization here. What I'm about to say might be true of women as well. I think it probably is, but I definitely see this among men. And that is that as we get older, a lot of men find the focus of their lives shrinks, and that they have less and less time for relaxing, for fun, and for renewal. If they used to spend lots of time hanging out with their buddies when they were younger, as life goes on, they do this less and less. They get more and more isolated. If they had hobbies, outside interests that kept them occupied when they were younger, well, that probably changed too as they get older. They get a family, they get a house. Oftentimes their career gets more absorbing. And all of a sudden they wake up one day and realize they pretty much have a one-dimensional life, or maybe a two-dimensional life. Their work and then their family, home stuff. And now this is where we get into trouble, because we still have some free time, right? Nobody works all the time. So we all have some windows of open space in our days, open time in our week. We all do at some point. But now what happens is that instead of making use of those things to do things that are really renewing and ultimately good for us, things that actually make us feel good and happy even after we're done, we wind up getting sucked into mindless distractions. We get into things that at best leave us feeling passive and in a stupor, like binge watching TV or video games. Or we wind up doing things that are just positively unhealthy and damaging, like binge watching erotic stuff, or overeating, or over drinking, or whatever. So the issue for most of us is not simply taking time for self-renewal, but rather to be smart about that self-renewal, to be more discerning about what we do with that time when we do have some free time, to find fun that's actually fun, things that are worthwhile and helpful. Now, the thing is, if we don't, we're going to get sucked into a lot of distractions, which quickly can become unhealthy compulsions. In her book, Willpower Instinct, the psychologist Kelly McGonigal writes this, and this is just helpful. She has a couple of lists here. She says, while many of the most popular stress relief strategies fail to make us feel better, some strategies really work. According to the American Psychological Association, the most helpful stress relief strategies are exercising or playing sports, praying or attending a religious service, reading, listening to music, spending time with friends or family, getting a massage, going outside for a walk, meditating, or doing yoga, and spending time with a creative hobby. So that's the list right there. Okay. Then she goes on. The least effective strategies are gambling, shopping, smoking, drinking, eating, playing video games, surfing the internet, and watching TV or movies for more than 2 hours. And obviously we would put in pornography use as part of the surfing the internet, watching TV, etc. And she goes on, why is that? The main difference between the strategies that work and the strategies that don't, rather than releasing dopamine and relying on the promise of reward, the real stress relievers boost mood-enhancing brain chemicals like serotonin and GABA, as well as the feel-good hormone oxytocin. They also help shut down the brain's stress response, reduce stress hormones in the body, and induce the healing relaxation response. Because they aren't exciting like the dopamine releasers, we tend to underestimate how good they will make us feel. And so we forget about those strategies, not because they don't work, but because when we're stressed, our brains persistently mispredict what will make us happy. I want to say that again. That is such an important line. And so we forget about these strategies, not because they don't work, but because when we're stressed, our brains persistently mispredict what will make us happy. This means that we'll often talk ourselves out of doing the very things that will make us feel better. Okay, so it's a Thursday night. Your kids are gone at activities. Your wife has something going on. And she won't be home until like 10 p.m. So you got a few hours in the evening by yourself, nothing on the schedule. What will you do? Or let's say your wife and your kids are gone for the weekend, visit their family out of state, or visit her family out of state. Okay, so you had to stay home and finish a few projects. But of course, the projects aren't going to take you all day, every day of the weekend. You've got a lot of free time. So what will you do with the rest of that time? Now, this question, this really is the $100,000 question for men. If we don't have a clear and good answer to this question, some positive things, like the things that McGonigal talks about, then media companies, social media companies, food companies, alcohol companies, porn companies, all of these people have a huge financial stake in luring us into their stuff. They will offer us cheap, quick, easy ways of getting hits of dopamine that might make us feel good in the moment, but then leave us feeling like crap later. So we've got to find fun that's actually fun, positive, renewing things that we can do to fill our free time with rather than getting sucked into destructive, compulsive habits.